Hey, what took you so long?
I was actually conducting some research about gang affiliation. It turns out there are a lot of misconceptions about the subject.
Really? You know, that reminds me of something we just finished reading. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we basically learned that a lot of adolescents are affiliated with gangs, yet they aren't actually active within these gangs. And that essentially means that these people aren't committing any criminal activities.
That reminds me of the article we just read, written by the National Gang Center, which states that for the majority of adolescents who join a gang, their average amount of time they remain active in the gang is just 1 to 2 years, and only 10% of gang members report actual involvement, just not affiliation with the gang, for 4 or more years.
Yeah, that reminds me of some stuff I actually read in Romeo and Juliet in class. I would say that this directly relates to the feud between the two major gangs or families in the play, the Capulets and the Montagues.
Yeah, I think what this National Gang Center evidence is really concluding is that most people are only part of gangs for a small amount of time, if any time whatsoever, right? But this also connects to Romeo and Juliet, because you can see that Romeo and Juliet didn't actually participate in their respective gangs. They weren't involved in any of the actions their gangs actually pursued. Yet they were affiliated with their gangs because of their namesake. Now, what this essentially means is that Romeo and Juliet were being pushed away just because of their namesake, even though they weren't involved in the actual activities their gang pursued, right?
Exactly.
And that scene in on the balcony actually, where Juliet says, "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" That really expands into what you just said, because she's asking why Romeo has to be a Montague, right? Why he has to have that namesake, and so she just tells him that she wishes that she could cast aside her last name and that he could too, so they could just be together and in love.
Exactly, and that also makes me think about all of the misconceptions surrounding adolescents in gangs, and how despite the fact that they aren't even participating or are involved in any of the criminal activities their gang mates pursue, they still face all of the repercussions and consequences that comes with their affiliations with these gangs.
Oh yeah, and speaking of criminal activities, we found an article, regarding the amount of retaliatory violence occurring as a result of gang violence.
Yeah, according to the City Journal, retaliatory violence is driving much of the current increase in shootings around the world. So if you look at New York, for example, you can see a 97% increase in shootings in 2020 just because of these retaliations within the gangs.
That actually relates a lot to Romeo and Juliet if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
That statistic actually kind of reminds me of the incident where Romeo and Mercutio end up running into Tybalt on the street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that Romeo didn't want to fight Tybalt at first, and Tybalt and Mercutio fought, and despite the fact that Romeo initially didn't want to engage in the situation, Mercutio's death caused him to get riled up and kill Tybalt just in the name of retaliation and revenge.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that this theme of retaliation extends even farther than just their streets of Verona. Between that fight with Tybalt, Mercutio, and Romeo, it also extends to other cities when Romeo was exiled. Because the Capulets, even when Romeo was exiled, still tried to poison him, when he was out of the city, right? So this theme of retaliation is reoccurring throughout Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, so after reading and analyzing the play and then comparing it to all the articles that we've read, I'm really coming to the conclusion that Romeo and Juliet is just a story about, the complications that sprout from gang affiliation.
Yeah, looking from the effects of retaliation to how gangs involve adolescents, it also demonstrates how teens in real life are affected by these gangs.
Yeah, and this conversation has really taught me a lot about the effects of gang affiliation on modern-day teens, such as us. Too many people and teens are disproportionately affected and are forced to participate and affiliate with gangs regardless of their actions, choices, or needs.
Alright, I need to go now. You guys keep discussing this and I'll catch up later.
Alright, see you later.
See you.
Bye.
Gang-involved youth are more likely to engage in substance abuse and high-risk criminal behavior and to experience a wide range of potentially long-term health and social consequences, including school dropout, teen parenthood, family problems, and unstable employment.